sure the city attorney wants to join us. Flip it on.
Well, I'm ready, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the Finance Committee. And it looks like we have, how many is there? 8 items on the agenda. The first item is a resolution for repairs and improvements to Randall Wobie Railroad Crossing. And then James Smith, our Public Works Director, will help us to know about that a little bit.
So this has to do with our agreement with the railroad to make improvements to crossings. And they've submitted 2 for this year, one being Randall Wobie and one Shady Grove.
So this would come out of the money that the council's already committed in that up to 3-year agreement?
Yes, sir.
What's the residual balance after this of what we committed?
We've spent almost 400 for the first 2, 400,000.
Right.
So whatever this adds to, Mike, out of that up to $3 million.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
that's why I was asking, out of the 3, where does this put us?
You'll have about 2.3 remaining.
I move that we forward both Resolution 1 and Resolution 2 to council with recommendation for approval.
Second.
Okay, well, we have a motion in several seconds to forward resolutions 1 and 2 forward to council with a recommendation for approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
James, do you have any kind of time frame on when they'll be able to start that?
No, Jeremy said he has some things in stock, but he'll have to order panels.
And this includes some drainage work.
Yes.
having to, associated with the Shady Grove.
Correct.
They may all include some drainage work, but
Yeah, this has,
drainage has been a big issue for them down at Shady Grove.
yeah, that washed completely out one year.
Do they anticipate it this year, James? Do you know of?
Yes,
Okay. Both of them by the end of the year, you think?
we hope.
Yeah, okay.
Item number 3 and 4, James, you're gonna stay up there for that. Item 3 is a resolution. It's waiving competitive bidding for a street sweeper.
Yes, we've had this on a grant request for 2 years running, and both grants we didn't get, so we're kind of dying on the vine with our old sweeper, so.
So where's this money coming from?
General fund reserves.
What about your budget? Don't you have equipment reserved for your budget?
We've been trying to get grants for these, and we didn't qualify for them, so we didn't have them in the budget because we were hoping to get grants. So now we're asking out of the unrestricted general fund, which as of today, you got $28 million. So these 2 together will be about 500,000.
Both of them?
Yes.
Do we have one sweeper, James?
2.
So this would replace one, or you'll have 3 now?
No, this will replace one.
And you'll get rid of the old one?
Yes,
Are you making money on that?
I doubt it.
Whatever you do, if you end up going to auction or whatever on it, it goes back into the general fund.
Correct.
And then, can we go ahead and deal with item 4 as well?
That was 4, you mean 5?
No, 3 and 4.
3 and 4.
No.
Street
Oh,
sweeper
I'm
and the
sorry, I
truck.
checked that off too early, my bad.
What is
On-
4?
4's the dump truck.
Yeah,
Yes.
Go
It's
ahead
a-
and talk about that flatbed.
It's a replacing an old brush flatbed that we have with a grapple truck, kind of like what our bulky waste trucks are.
Uh-huh.
So anytime we have to send a crew out to clean up brush damage or dumping or anything like that, I have to send 5 guys. 1 in the backhoe, 1 in the dump truck, 2 flagging, and man on the ground. This grapple truck, I can send 1 man to do the job.
And follow up Mike's question, this is also coming just out of general fund.
And the total's $400K for both of them?
Well,
527,
pretty close,
842.
yeah.
For both, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever those add up.
All right, I'll move we forward both items 3 and 4 to council with recommendation for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to forward resolutions 3 and 4 to council with recommendation for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Question real quick. So is the other resolution in here for the dump truck, or is that just
That
a?
was 4.
Yes, I saw it earlier.
Page 30.
Oh, that's for the flatbed, just kidding.
Okay, I see it now.
Sorry.
Okay, item 5 is a resolution for payment of an invoice for the extension of 40th Street to Gutenson Road. And Ben Peters, Engineering Director, will explain this to us.
Yeah, we just have a construction contract that the monthly invoice came in at a little over $1 million. It's $1,081,000. So anytime it comes in over $1 million, we always come to you, let you know we're about to pay a bill that large. So
Move resolution for recommendation for approval. What's the timeline on getting this finalized out?
well, the road's open, so we're substantially complete now.
Okay, substantially complete, good.
Yep, so the road's open. We actually opened it a week before school started, so it opened last week, Monday, I think it was.
That's awesome.
We got a few punch list items that we'll have to work out, probably 2 months by the time it's all said and done.
Very nice.
I kind of let this one get by me without talking to Ben, but my recollection is that y'all had okayed, if it's a project that's been approved, y'all said we could go straight to council with these instead of coming to a committee. Y'all want to keep doing it that way?
Absolutely.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
So Ben, we
Okay.
don't have to, I'm sorry I didn't catch that and let you know.
That's okay. I'd rather bring it and not need to than the other
Yeah.
way around.
Yeah, that's right. I'd rather be wrong this way than the other way.
Okay, we have a motion and a second forward resolution item 5 to council with the recommendation for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, item 6 is a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to amend a professional design contract for Harbor Avenue Extension Project. Again, Mr. Peters.
Yep, so this is part of the 2023 bond. We're going to do the harbor, it's really Emma, because we're going to call it Emma until we get to 48th Street, but the Emma flyover over I-49. In looking at this, this was designed a couple of years ago under the 18 bond, and I think we found a way we can value engineer this and make the bridge smaller for a savings of about $600,000. But that'll require engineering services of about $224,000 to redesign the bridge. So spend $224, save $600.
Will the bond program reimburse the general fund?
This is all coming out of bond.
Out of the 18, right?
This will come out of 18 bond.
I understood it was coming out of the 20.
We had enough in the 18
Well-
and since we're continuing the project, we can do that.
Extension of that. Okay.
We'll build it out of 23, but we're designing it out of 18.
Oh, out of 18 funds, good. Okay.
Correct.
So Ben, you said that they're making the bridge more narrow?
Not narrow, shorter. So the way it was designed was to allow for a frontage road to go parallel to 49 under this bridge.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, it doesn't make any sense. If we do that, we're gonna pay $600,000 more for this bridge. And then if we do the frontage road, we have to build another bridge across Spring Creek, which is parallel to 40th Street, just a few hundred yards away. So we can save $600,000 here, and we can not build that frontage road and just bring both those frontage roads to 40th Street and end up with a good traffic pattern that's functional.
Move resolution be forwarded to council with recommendation for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to forward item number 6, a resolution to council with recommendation for approval. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, item number 7 is a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to approve change order for additional services for graphic design coordination for donor signage.
Yeah, this is for Luther George Park, and this is to do the donor signage for all the different parts of the park that had big donations. We didn't do this with the original contract because we didn't know how many donors there would be. You know, that was all done before the donors actually gave the money. So now we want to do a graphic design package so the donor signs all look nice and work with all the other signage throughout the park. And so this is for $59,500.
Can we get donations to pay for this?
This will come out of the donations that we've
Oh,
already
okay.
received.
Well, that's good.
Yep.
All right, are there any other questions or concerns? No? Okay, I'll entertain the motion.
So moved. Be forwarded to council with recommendation for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to forward item number 7, a resolution to forward to council with recommendation for approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, the final item under Finance Committee is a resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds to acquire portions of land from a family trust for the Hilton Road Improvement Project.
I'm a little
Ernest
worried.
Tate?
I'm a little worried. You guys went so fast that I've got the last two, that maybe that's, I'm a little worried.
It should be.
If you remember, we entered into a development agreement with developers doing some developments on Hilton Road, and there was a little section of Hilton Road that at that time was in the county. We've since have annexed. And we agreed to participate for they're gonna build the whole road, and we would reimburse them a not to exceed amount for the cost of construction in that little section in between. And this is for one of those parcels that's needed for that.
This is a section that's not technically part of the development.
Correct.
But it gets to the development.
That's correct. And our estimate of compensation was $10,500, and Mr. Coleman, who we're familiar with from the annexation, has agreed to accept the sum of $13,000 to settle the case. And just FYI, I filed the other two that we needed in court last week, and we got one of the orders of possession today. So, but this will resolve this case without having to file. Extra $2,500. And I believe that amount will be credited towards our not to exceed amount for the construction.
For the portion that we were gonna pay.
Correct.
I move that we forward this resolution to council with recommendation for approval.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to forward item number 8, a resolution forward to council with recommendation for approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And that closes Finance Committee.
We had one item come before the ordinance committee, and it's a ordinance amending Article 5 and Article 6 of the zoning ordinance of the city of Springdale, Arkansas, declaring emergency and other purposes, and the city attorney is going to explain everything he knows about data mining.
Well,
That won't take very long.
that's right. Well, this is actually on the agenda more for informational purposes than anything tonight, because since it's an amendment to the zoning ordinance, it'll have to come to planning commission first, which it is coming to planning commission on September the 5th. But the state legislature passed Act 851 in this session that dealt with data asset mining facilities that place certain limits and requirements on municipalities, how they could regulate these particular industries. And we had already actually been kind of looking at this probably a year or so ago. We didn't have a use unit for this particular type of operation. So we had already kind of been working on. Our main concern was the pull on the grid, the pull of electricity. So when we saw this bill going through the legislature, we kind of held back on it. And now that it's gone into effect, the Municipal League sent out a kind of a model ordinance. I think ours is better, quite honestly. But what we're doing is we're creating a use unit for this particular for digital asset mining, and has a very specific definition, which is taken from the statute. And it would be a conditional use only in 2 industrial zones. So therefore, you could put restrictions, conditions on it that are allowed by the new statute. And that way, if they violate those, then their conditional use can be brought back for reconsideration if they violate the terms. But this tonight is just to give you a kind of a preview. We do that sometimes as opposed to just bringing it from planning commission straight to city council. Sometimes we make you aware of something that's coming ahead of time. That's what this is.
Does this go, so this will have to go, if somebody's interested in mining an industrial property, that'll still have to go through the planning commission, and then it would come to us, is that correct?
Yes, it would be a conditional use. It would be a use unit 54 is what it would be.
There are places in the state, and I've kind of received an education on this through our economic development district, but a lot of counties and more rural, especially more rural counties and cities, are dealing with this and the ramifications of the legislation that passed. And I know there sounds like there might be an effort to try and repeal that legislation, but I didn't fully understand, data mining and Bitcoin and all that stuff. I'd have figured, couldn't imagine what kind of nuisance that could be, but it sounds like these facilities generate an enormous amount of, they take a lot of power, a lot of water, make a lot of noise in many cases, so it would be a real headache. And I didn't put all that together until I had talked with some in the Economic Development District, but
What is the state law, a good thing or a bad thing?
At least it covers it.
Well, at least put some guardrails that weren't there before. Because like I said,
I think where it could be a bad thing is how it may restrict the ability to locate these things.
Which is,
A city's ability to locate.
we cannot effectively zone them out of the city, is what they're saying, so, but we can
Put some restrictions on it.
some restrictions, which is perfect for a conditional use.
But the big kicker, they gotta have permission from the power companies and the other infrastructure facilities in order to even, come in. So they have to do a lot of negotiating on the front end to see if these power companies aren't gonna commit to a large drain if they're foregoing a bunch of paying residential customers for the future, so it'll handle itself probably.
We just wanted to make sure that we had it contemplated in our zoning ordinance, should someone want to come forward and
So, Craig,
have one of these
is that what
facilities.
you said, it'd be in 2 industrial zones?
Yeah, conditional use in an I one and I
As a
two.
conditional use.
Move the ordinance be forward with recommendation
I
for
don't
approval.
think we're dealing with it tonight.
It's gotta go to plan commission anyway, you'll see it probably on the 12th of.
So we don't need to
September.
move this
No
forward
action.
for it to have a,
It's really more for feedback and
Okay.
informational purposes tonight, just wanted to give you a heads up that it's coming.
But y'all will see it after the planning commission deals with it.
I encourage you to read up on that.
Thank you.
Nothing further comes forward.
Thanks, everybody.
Mayor, got to do a shout out for our public works. We had some trees down over in my side of the city over there Sunday. Bad wind come through. James's crew came out. I got notified by some residents over there. His crews were out there lickety split things up. Actually, did you get a phone call today, James? So, man, they're fantastic. Our public works guys just do a fantastic job.
Great, and
I wouldn't wanna stretch it too far.
I'm telling you, they
but
do
y'all
fantastic.
can remind, when you get calls or if people have questions, you passed I guess it was an ordinance or you passed something to allow for a bulky waste pickup for storm damage, as an additional pickup, or not count against their two
Right.
bulky waste, so, that's been a good thing. And storm damage.
Mayor, also, while we've got James and police here, I want to say thank you to both of you for everything that y'all have done with Monitor and that road out there, Mountain, with the dump trucks that were taking that and tearing up the roads and all that. And I had a 2-hour conversation with some of the individuals out there, and they have really expressed an appreciation because they've seen a drastic drop in that.
Good. And I know, just as an update, we've got the speed tables ordered for Lakeview, but I did get I won't mention who, but one of the residents out there said, we still want the speed tables, but we have noticed some difference since the stop signs were installed and the crosswalks. They weren't ready to say they didn't need speed tables, but they did say, they did appreciate that they've noticed a difference.
Right.
Yeah, good.
Well, that's an important board to take care of.
I don't rank the city up in the wards. I want to do well for the whole city.
All you take care of it.
And I know our
As long as you
council
take
does too.
care of two, it doesn't
Yeah, I know we're-
doesn't matter at all. No,